there's so many diverse methods to both card at number and any card at number that it's all worth looking at because magicians have attacked it from so many different angles.
Well, if you want the real raw one, go get Mnemonica and just read what Juan has to say about it, because that, to me, I think is the way to do it.
Yep.
Everything else is just trying to get there in an easier fashion.
Yeah. Hey everybody, Eric Tate here alongside my good buddy Nick Lacapo, and today we're back with another Penguin Magic Top 10 list as determined by you, the Penguin Magic fans. And Nick, today we're doing the best ACAAN/CAAN.
It's a big one.
Card at number is a huge one.
Yeah, any card, and like there's different ways that this could go.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. I was excited that this one was on the list because I feel like we probably should have done this by now.
Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with the plot, card at number or any card at any number is the idea that a deck is shuffled and the audience apparently names a card and a number, and somehow the selected card ends up at the selected number. It's pretty crazy.
Simple in nature, but like magicians is obsessed about it now for quite a while.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, you know, the trick is just great if you show it to somebody.
Yeah.
But we're crazy in this stupid industry, and we decide that this is the type of trick that needs to, no, it has to be done with a borrowed deck. No, it has to be
any card.
There's a difference between a force card and any card, or a force number, or a limited selection of numbers in any number. So I think there's probably other lists that we could make in this category, but I don't know. We'll just see where this takes us at this point.
And so if you're unfamiliar with this series, one of the ways that we come up with these lists is we put it out to you. We put a poll out on Instagram, so be sure to follow Penguin Magic on Instagram, and that is where we put up all of these polls, and people submit all of their different ideas. We tabulate all the results. We put them in numerical rank here according to your votes, and then Nick and I review them, give our hot takes, talk about what we think about your choices. Please be sure to let us know in the comments below if you think that we missed anything, or rather if you missed anything, and if there's any other future lists that you'd like us to do. And be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell down below so you'll be notified anytime other videos like this come up. Nick, let's get into it. Let's start out at number 10 with The End by ERIK'S. This is a really fascinating one because this starts out with a folded prediction. A folded piece of paper is handed to an audience member. They're told that this is the end. You have a deck of cards that is then cut repeatedly by a spectator. They look at a card. They then take the card. They bury it in the middle of the deck. The end is open up. The prediction is just a number, and you count down to that number, and lo and behold, the audience member was apparently able to place their selected card at the number that you predicted. This is a really, really good trick. It's almost self-working.
Yeah, this is a stone cold fooler, right?
This also, I think, this is we're already going to get into the minutia of things. This is not an any card at any number. This is a card at number, although it could be a number of different cards.
Sure, right. Yeah, and I guess we're going. This is what they're here to see, right?
Yeah.
They want to know the differences between, and by them I mean them.
Them.
There.
Yes.
You. You want to know the differences between these tricks, right? And I don't think I love. I don't mind forcing a card, and I don't mind having limited numbers. But I think one thing that is slightly important to me when it comes to tricks like this is that the deck that we're using here isn't quite something that you're going to be able to do possibly your next trick with. You could.
Yeah.
You could, but the deck isn't examinable, so to speak.
It is. It's. I wouldn't hand this deck to an audience to examine, but if you watch a full performance of this, I mean, you can see Rick spread the deck out, go, look, they're all different.
Yep.
Close it up, cut the deck.
But this is that category where people get real picky.
Yeah.
Get people. I know them. That's what they're watching here, right? Like, technically, no, you can't spread the deck. Can you? Would I? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course I would.
I'd feel very comfortable.
I'd feel very comfortable, but yeah.
But
no.
You're also, unless you are rather adept at false shuffling, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of shuffles with this.
Yep.
I think Rick has definitely streamlined the handling here to make it so it's accessible to a wide swath of people. And I think that a beginner magician could do this. An intermediate to advanced magician would add a couple of extra little convincers to make it seem completely like like a complete miracle.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea. I believe there's some John Bannon principles at play in here.
Yep, sure is. And I would recommend this to anybody. Like, it's just a download.
Yeah.
Go get this because it's super easy. You do nothing. So, like, yeah, get this one. I think this is a great trick. And if you're looking for a good card to number, especially to like fool your Magic buddies or something.
I think this is definitely in that realm of like you're going to your local IBM meeting, your SAM meeting, or maybe you're going to go hang out with some buddies at the Magic Circle if you're watching this in Europe, and you want to just fool someone straight out with something that's been around the block, but they probably don't recognize it. This is a great way to go.
Good trick. The End by Rick Lax. Let's move on to number 9. This is Any Card at Any Birthday by Boris Wilde. I have it here. A lot of what we have here today are like some physical items as well.
Yeah.
So Boris Wilde's Any Card at Any Birthday. I really love this routine.
Yeah.
So here's the breakdown on it. This is a stand-up piece of Magic. Okay. You bring out a deck of cards that has you have a card box that says the word prediction on it, and you place that in your jacket pocket. A jacket is important for this routine. So you place that in your jacket pocket, you tell your spectator, I want you to keep an eye on the prediction, that's your job. We have 2 more spectators on stage. You ask one of them to think of a number and they say it out loud. They say 19, and you write 19 down on a business card, comes out of your jacket, you write it down, you hand it to the person. So it's nice because everything's like in view and on stage here. We have nobody can question what the number was. It's been written down and it's on a piece of paper, somebody's holding it. And then you have somebody name a card, and you have another deck of cards in your jacket pocket. You take that out. You remove the card that they name. You hand it to them. Place the card back in your jacket. So you have 19 and the 3 of hearts. You reach in your pocket, pull out the prediction deck with the sticker on it, and you hand the deck to the person, and they count it, and the card is at that number, and it is that. So the things you need to know about this are that it is, when we're talking about restrictions here, this is any card at any number, and the deck is completely examinable at the end of the routine. Yeah. So, wow, okay.
It's very strong.
It's very strong. Now, to get it done, it is a piece of stage magic. You do need a jacket for this.
Yeah.
The jacket and, so what you're getting here is you're getting the DVD, which has live performances filmed here in Columbus, Ohio, a long time ago. Yeah. And you have some stacks here, which you're going to go in, well, in a different deck of cards. But the method in which this gets done is pretty awesome. Yeah. It is, when you end like that, it is, man, I mean, there's no backtracking this. Yeah. It's a very well choreographed piece of stage magic.
I mean, Boris Wilde is a very clever magician, and he comes up with some brilliant stuff. And Any Card at Any Birthday is it's no different than a lot of other stuff in that, like, it's well thought through. This is clearly something he's performed many, many, many times. He's already got it all the way figured out.
I wish I could do it here, but it is a piece of stand-up magic. I am going to do this in the show sometime. Yeah, for sure. And I should just mention that the birthday thing doesn't matter. It's just like a nice presentational thing where you ask somebody, instead of the number, just think of your birthday. Yeah. Now you might think, oh, well, that's limiting the number, only 1 to 30. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter what the number is. It can be any number between 1 and 52, and it can be any card named, and the spectator counts it. So you're left with the best case scenario here. Yeah. So great trick.
It's pretty good. Something sort of in the same vein of that is number 8. This is from Patrick Redford. This is Hands Off. This is I purchased this many, many years ago, wanting to work on card at number, and I know Patrick Redford he's got a whole bunch of different methods for card at number, but this one is very interesting. Now, this is a close-up version. You could theoretically do this on stage, and I believe he actually gives some ideas on how to do this on stage, but it's very much designed for close-up. And what you end up with is you ask a person to name genuinely any card, you ask another person to name genuinely any number, and you point to a deck of cards that has been in the open the entire time. You pull it out of the box, and you can hand it to them, and they can count down, and the card genuinely is at that number, and it can be totally examined. Now, what I will tell you is that this is a 2-deck any card at any number. The method is really, really clever. There is some arts and crafts involved in order for you to be able to do this that you have to apply to the second deck. but that allows you to do some pretty open, bold things and really, really get away with it. I don't think I'm giving away too much when I say that.
I think, I mean, it's obvious it's a 2-deck trick.
Yeah.
There's 2 decks in play. But yeah, we're talking about a really clever
Yeah, you're talking about a really clever switch, and there's some really interesting stuff about this.
And if you're familiar with any of like Patrick's like Penguin Live lectures and things, I actually think there's an evolved version of this possibly on his most recent Penguin Live. Might have been Redford 3 or Act or something. Because I remember something similar to this, but because I think he's played a lot in this world of this 2-color deck thing.
What's also really interesting is that you do not need to use a memorized deck for this, but he does teach you some ways to use a memorized deck in order to make this a much more evolved effect.
Yeah.
This is definitely, there's a lot of information inside of this. The only thing you really need to be aware of when you get this is that you are getting a DVD, you are not getting the supplies to make it, but you probably own most of the supplies already, and if not, it's a pretty quick Amazon order to get a couple of the things that you'll need.
So but any card?
But genuinely any card at genuinely any named number.
And you end with the spectator dealing it out.
And you end with a spectator dealing it out. So it's a pretty solid effect.
Yeah. Deserves to be on the list. In fact, the list in general, pretty good. I mean, I can't. It's hard to like. We'll figure it out. A lot of times when we do these videos, and I think we're processing it as we go here. I like the list.
There's not a lot that I would take out of here. I'm just sort of like already noticing that we've got a couple of them where like number 9 and number 8 are genuinely ACAANs, right? Whereas 10 is not an ACAAN; it's more of a CAAN, a card at number.
Yeah.
But that leads us to number 7, which is another ACAAN.
Another ACAAN, which number 7 is.
This is pretty great.
I forgot to. I don't know if I know what this stands for.
I actually.
Do you remember?
It's any card at any number at
any time. At any time, right.
By Dan Harlan.
Yeah. ACAANAAT. Anyway.
ACAANAAT.
Yeah. I have a performance of this.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course I do. Remember you were there.
Oh, that's right.
Because basically the performance of this, you do this trick for people.
Yeah.
And it is a good trick. But the real performances of this are the video that you get afterward. Okay?
Let's take a look at the video.
I'll play it here, and then maybe it'll end up like bigger on the screen or something later. But if it doesn't, I'll jack the volume up here, and I'll let you get in close. Oh, look, I can see the camera moving. It's trying to find the spot. All right, let me hit play here. Okay, so Nate, you're happy with that, with all of that? All right, go ahead, gather the cards up. Gather the cards up. And this is this is your deck of cards, which of course you shuffled, and I need you to think of a card. Do you have a card in mind? Yeah. Okay. And Eric, you guys have ever seen this trick before where there's like the card that ends up at a certain number? No. I want you to think of a number. Do you have one in head? Got it. There? All right. No, there's no way I could know either one of these pieces of information, right? You have a card in mind, you have a number in mind, right? Let's go with the number. Eric, what number are you thinking of? 16? Hey, deal them face up. Deal them face up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is where we stop, right? You got to do the stop for the dramatic purposes. This is the 16th card. Have I touched those cards? No. Did you shuffle those cards? Yeah. Hey, what card are you thinking of? Jack of Diamonds. Come on. Look at that laugh. Yeah. So that's what you end up with.
I've always loved this type of effect where it works in real life, but you're able to video it, and this video will get shown around, and it grows into something larger than it ever was originally. Which is just such a great idea from Dan.
And I've always known about this card at number. I've never actually done it. We just did it for fun over here, just because we're making this video. And I'm like, man, why haven't I done this? Why haven't I done this? Because even in me performing it over there, I was just realizing how impossible you can make it.
Yeah.
You can make it as impossible as you want it to feel. And I haven't even begun to think about what I would really do, if I was doing this trick. So it is borrowed deck.
Yep.
Any card, any number, any time.
Yeah.
Now, you're not seeing the whole thing.
I think this is So there's a really great download that we did, actually, that you shot with Justin Flom and ERIK'S called the 6 Greatest Card Tricks in the History of Magic. And there's a great trick on there called Freak Out that I use, actually, to close my set at the Magic Castle, which is in the same world, which is the instructions that you're hearing on the video are true.
Yeah.
Now, they're true different on the video than they are true in real life, but both of them are, in both instances,
equally good.
It's equally true and it's equally good. But it's just, you get this impression that it is so impossible.
Yeah, and so there's a trick that happens before, like the end of the trick is the video. So like there's part of this trick happens, and then the video starts and you see the rest of it. Yeah. But the trick that happens is still great. Yeah. Now I would say it's a sleight of hand trick, right? It's, you know, there's nothing crazy here compared to all the rest of these like brilliant methods and all that. It's pretty raw when it comes down to the actual trick. But that doesn't mean, that means you should know how to do this one. And there's a real conversation for this being one of the best ever. I think weirdly.
I agree with you, and I also think that once you learn this method, you're going to want to play with a lot of the principles for other things. Yeah, because I think that the way Dan accomplishes this and allows you to get that end video is a really untapped well of really impossible magic.
Yeah, it's TV magic, right? It's the same thing, except now everybody's got it in their pocket,
it's doing TV magic that people can show to other people later, and it doesn't feel like TV magic.
Yeah, yeah. So grab that one. It's in Dan's lecture, or it's in one of the Christmas specials. There's a link below. Yeah, there's a link below.
Moving on to number 6. This is, now we're getting back into the carded numbers. This is instaCAAN by Joel
Dickinson.
Joel Dickinson, thank you very much. Joel Dickinson. This is kind of fun.
Great creator.
Joel is a great creator. This is a really fun thing. I hadn't heard about this one until we started to do this video.
Yeah, we kind of like divided and conquer on these, didn't we?
We actually.
There was a few methods in here that I'd never seen, so we tried to learn them as much as we could.
Now I have a blue deck of cards here, and I have another card that is out there from the very beginning. And Nick. Just want you to know that that prediction happens right now. Give me a number between 1 and 52, whatever you want to go with.
Let's go with 28.
28?
Yeah, sorry, is that too many to count?
No, it's a great number. Now, normally you would actually do this with 2 different people. You'd have one person select one number and another person select another number, but 28.
So it'd be like 2 and then an 8.
Yep,
2 and then from people. Okay.
Exactly, and then we would end up counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. There is the only card that's printed, the Ace of Hearts, and of course we put this out here at the very beginning. Ace of Hearts, woo! So obviously there's some stuff that I'm not doing exactly the same as the individual trick because the blank cards at the end are a big surprise, but you do end up with this really, really nice picture here of all these blank cards. You can even do this as an open prediction. This is one of the things that Joel talks about. Is
like
that you don't
face up.
Yeah, he starts it with a face up. You can reveal the blank cards at the very beginning. You can reveal it at the very end. It does feel a little like Quantum Deck, but obviously came out before Quantum Deck. It's a really fascinating method, and part of it is involved in the nature and the way you get the number, and then actually some secret stuff inside of the deck as well. There is one of the moves that I did right in front of you, and there's a couple of other things as well, but this is well within the skill range of probably anybody watching this. There's a little mental arithmetic that you have to do when you're doing the effect, but it's not a tremendous amount. Like I've definitely seen other ACAANs where you have to like move packets around in the because you are so the force card, because we are dealing with a force card here, does live in one area of the deck, and then you are moving it around in different ways in order to be able to get it at there. But it's very, very minimal.
But you could see it as a good thing because that deck is examinable.
Yeah, at the end, this deck is examinable. You probably wouldn't want to hand this to your magician buddies because there are a couple of things in here that they could find. But this is like
no spectator.
No spectator's going to understand what you're looking at, and it's pretty easy to destroy anything for them to be able to find. And by destroy, I just mean like you don't even really need to destroy it, but.
But yeah, no, there's no spectator.
No spectator's going to understand exactly what's going on here, especially by the time you get all the way down to the dealing process.
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, it's a card with a prediction,
Yeah.
so it's like card at.
It's card at number, and then the blank
And then
is a kicker.
It doesn't quite work with any number because you're getting 2 numbers named, right?
Yeah, and this falls
So it's never
into-
going to end up in a single digit, right?
It's never going to end up in a single digit, but this does fall into something that you and I have discussed on a lot of different videos, which is not necessarily a force, but limiting to a broad selection.
It feels very broad when the number's selected.
Yeah, when the numbers are selected, because you can in the selection process, you say to them, look, there's only 52 cards in a deck, so you give me a number between 1 and 5, and you give me a number between 1 and 10, or 1 and 5 as well. So there's a little bit of a selection process there that narrows it, but because of the way that works, you really only need to make a couple of moves with the deck, and no complicated, like you're not dealing from the middle, you're not dealing a bunch of seconds over and over again.
Sure.
And getting to those numbers is pretty fast.
Got it. Yeah. No, it seems like a good one.
It's
there.
very cool.
Yeah. Well, all right. Moving on from instaCAAN to the Grail. The Grail by Mike Rose and ACAANAT Magic. I was really impressed with this one.
Yeah.
I think I had learned it at one point, and then it's just one of those that
fell out of your brain.
Learned a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
So I'll do it for you really quick here. Eric, I have a little envelope. Inside this envelope is a card.
Ooh.
Okay. I won't show you that just yet. And I have a deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to name a number between 1 and 52.
Go with 12.
12. 12. Count 12 cards off there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And move that right over there.
Okay.
These could also have been dealt face up. Should have told you to do that, but might as well take a little look there. Yeah. What card did you? Or it doesn't matter at this point. Let's go. Remember my card at the beginning?
Yep.
We'll take that out here. The card that I placed in the envelope. Is anything else in there?
There is nothing else in this envelope. It is totally empty.
Okay. Well, I put the 8 of hearts in there. Let's take a look at the card you got. 8 of hearts. Bam!
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of different outcomes with this particular trick,
Mm-hmm.
but let's dive into it. So, the deck, any card. Well, this is a card at number,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have a prediction card here, and the deck, depending on which routine you do, I chose to do the one that Peter recommends on the DVD. But the 2 routines on there are identical, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that in this context, this deck can't be examined.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, look.
Yeah.
There's nothing to find.
Mm-hmm.
In the other routine, the deck can be examined.
Mm-hmm.
There would be nothing to find. I think in both scenarios, the deck is examinable.
Yeah.
Which is what I really like about this. There are only 4 cards in this deck that are your target cards.
That's pretty
Okay.
cool.
So you can end, especially with the other routine, which, and I can kind of show it to you what I mean, because it does come with a different gimmick, which would be this one here, and you would end up with a different card. You'd end up with, let's just say, this card would have been the 12th card, and at the end of the trick, this wouldn't be in an envelope, although it could be. It could just be face out in the out in the open the whole time, and at the end of the trick, you would just turn these over and show them like that.
That's great.
Okay, so that would allow you to, and I'm trying not to reveal the trick here, which is why it's hard for me to say it out loud. The 4 cards in the deck would be the 4 queens, right? But this card here allows you to be any queen. In the last one I just did, the 4 cards in the deck make it be the 8 of hearts in every scenario. Okay, so this gets into, I feel like, a group of card at numbers where there's a cut of the deck that needs to happen at a particular spot. And for me, this one, and I've seen lots of these, this one happens in a moment that is forgotten by the audience. And especially because with the way this routine works, you're only ever cutting, I believe, 3 at the most cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're never doing 20
Yeah.
or 5 or anything like that. The structure of this routine makes it in a way that you're either dealing from the top of you're either dealing from this way
Yep.
or this way. And because of the way the deck is structured, you're only ever displacing up to 3 cards.
Oh, that's
I believe
excellent.
it could be 4, but I
Yeah.
don't think it. I think you get into the next. Yeah. Anyway, it's very very good, and you could just use the deck for other stuff afterward, right?
Oh, I
so
love that.
it's not like a gimmick deck. You know, you're ending up with a open deck of cards.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So card at number.
Yeah.
Force. It's a prediction card, but the number is up to you.
Yeah.
Really, and yeah.
It's awesome. Let's move on. This is another card at number. This is called Fragment by Michael Murray, and I'm a big fan of this one. I'm not going to perform it because, well, I could perform it.
I'm a fan of this one.
This is really cool. So you're going to be seeing some B-roll of this while I'm describing it. But this can be done with a borrowed deck that is shuffled and in use. It can be done at any time. And essentially what you do is you have somebody think of any number between 1 and 52, but preferably in the middle of the deck. You show them the top cards, and you have them memorize the card at their position. You then point out that they know that you both know that their card is in the top half of the deck, so you have them shuffle the top half of the deck. That gets shuffled back into the rest of the deck, and then you have them concentrate on the card and the number that they have it at, and then you go through the deck, you take out one card, you move it, place it somewhere else in the deck. They've previously confirmed that their card is not anywhere near their selected location. After you place it in the deck, you put the deck back in their hands, you have them name the number, you then have them deal through the deck, and when they deal to the position, found at that position is the card that they are thinking of. This is a really cleverly structured routine, does not require a lot of complicated sleight of hand. I mean, this is really more something that, like, it takes a little bit of, I want to say confidence to perform this, just because you're doing one move rather openly, and the rest of you're doing one move secretly, and the rest of it happens all open in the context of explaining how there's no way that you could possibly know where their selection is. And the cool thing is, you never actually have to know their selection. This is definitely one of those where because of the way you're moving cards around and the way that you are presenting it, you never have to know their number, you never have to know their card, and it just ends up that way every time. And it's fairly simple to do.
Yeah. So any deck.
Any deck.
Any deck.
Any deck. It can even the cool thing is the deck can even be missing a couple of cards. So this can be something that, like, you can turn up to your local pub and then borrow the deck that's behind the counter and then immediately go into it.
Yeah, and it kind of, like, similar to Harlan's thing, gets reframed at the end, right?
Yes.
Where and it is really thought of stuff, because they're just looking at a thing. Nobody's ever taken anything out of a deck or anything like that. So at the end of the trick, you're really in a position where you are thinking of a card and you are thinking of a number and put it down. And I actually like the whole, like, there's something to the magician saying, I'm going to move, I think it's this, and I'm going to move it to the number that I think you're thinking of as well. And then you put it down. I like that, and it's unique to this trick.
It is one of the only tricks on this list where the magician is actively saying, I'm going to put your card at your number. Whereas with everything else, it seems to be presented as some sort of a miraculous coincidence. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it definitely hits different, because this sort of forges a connection between you and the spectator.
Right.
And now it can become a mental mystery. It can become a piece of mind reading combined with...
Well, you're taking the credit.
Yeah.
In almost all of these other ones, it's kind of like the spectator is supposed to be taking the credit, even though, you know, a lot of them probably don't think you did it somehow, but
This, of all of the tricks on this list, because like Harlan's, it can be done with a shuffle deck in use, this falls into that, just get it, because this is something you're going to want to know. Like, and you will do this at a Magic convention or for your Magic buddies, and they will have, like, totally forgotten about this, and you'll fry people.
No, I don't even. This is now. I know it was.
I'm going to work on this. Is the one I'm going to work on.
It was one of the nominees for. I think it was one of the partner tricks of the year.
Oh yeah.
The couple of years ago, maybe 2021.
Yeah.
But get it, because Michael Murray makes awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
And if this is something for you, you'll get hooked on Michael Murray stuff for sure. He's got a lot of great methods like this. This is a very cool trick, Fragment.
But that brings us to the part of the show that we always like, which is the honorable mentions, the stuff that should have shown up here but didn't.
Yes. The stuff that
I'll tell you, something I'm actually surprised that didn't come up in here was the Danny DeOrtiz Any Card, Any Number project.
Oh, sure.
So Danny is on this list. We just haven't gotten to him yet. But the trick that is on this list is not one of those. And so if you're unfamiliar with it, Danny for every month for a year released a different lesson on any card at any number. And so there's, ostensibly there's 12 any card at any numbers that he's teaching you, but it's Danny DeOrtiz, so he's slipping extra tricks in left, right, and center. So it's really like 20 different tricks. And some of them are extremely strong.
Yeah.
It's all like shuffled deck type stuff. Very few of them use gimmicks or stacks. It's very clever stuff.
I'm kind of forgiving of this list a little bit. I like the list. I think everything in here has been interesting to talk about, but I do think we need to I would be interested to see what other people say are not on this list.
Yeah.
There's a couple things, but you just start getting into, we're really talking about marketed products on this list.
Yeah,
right.
This does seem to live in, because there's only a couple of these that are regular. That's actually only two, because everything else is kind of a gimmick deck.
Well, because the way to do this trick, if you were going to do this trick for real, any card, any number from a deck, it just gets hard to not mention memorized deck work.
Yes.
Wand Tammer, Monica. It's basically that. That's how you do this trick.
Patrick Redford has a book called Temporarily Out of Order that's got a bunch of ACAAN stuff in it with his stack.
Yeah, no, I actually I grabbed Mnemonica before the thing. So the card at number with a stack is published here in Mnemonica. Any card at any number on chapter 6, tricks with the whole stack. And really, when you know the stack and you know the number, you know where the card is. So you just need to cut a certain amount of cards to make that card at that number. Now, I think the person that's got the best work on it is Aussie in his book. I think it's in his book.
It is in his book.
Okay.
He teaches a couple of different ACAANs in his book Repertoire, which sometimes is available on Penguin.
Even if it's not,
you can find it.
Yeah, he's got the best, to me, method for executing that cut.
Yes.
Right. He's basically using what we're talking about here with stacked deck stuff. But I think that's the best way. I think it's the best thing. But it's hard. And the math is hard, and it's a commitment.
We've talked about this a lot. This is one of those. I know you do stack deck work. I don't have a stack that I've memorized, but it's always one of those. If I was going to do ACAAN, I think I would end up memorizing a stack because it's just
you end up in this category of okay, I know what to expect power wise from card at number.
Yeah,
strong trick. Do I want to waste my not waste, but do I want to use my mental capacity on this one trick, or just bring out a gimmick deck that can do this trick for me and make it even more impossible?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it is a tough thing. And then last but not least, of course, is the Berglas Effect.
Yeah. And that's sort of what kicked off. I mean, David Berglas was sort of known for this particular effect, but
I don't know it's on the list. Nobody's seen it. It's just kind of legendary at this point.
Yeah.
And you can't really buy it. So, I know why it's not on the list.
Yeah.
But also, I just think it needs to be mentioned.
Again, David Berglas just did it for real.
Yeah.
He would just name a number and name a card, and he would point to a deck of cards that was in the glove box of his car or in your own pocket.
Right.
And it would just be there.
Yeah, that is the standard. But who knows at this point, So, and there's probably some other marketed things that are not on this list that I'm not even aware of, right? So list them down below so we can take a look at them.
Yeah.
And maybe do another list of these, another round of these.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's move on to number 3.
Number 3, this is this is culturally relevant at the moment. Danny DeOrtiz, totally hands off. This is quite the routine for sure. Now, I can't really do it here because it requires multiple people, but most recently...
He did it on Fool Us.
Yeah.
He fooled the daylights out of Penn and Teller with it.
Yeah, and it's even weird when you go back and you know how this works to see, because there's some mixtures of methods as well.
Yeah.
But generally, if you were to watch his Fool Us performance, that card at number that he's doing at the end there is totally hands-off with a couple extra little things. What happens is it just, Danny, or if you don't, stop watching this and just go
check out Danny.
A lot of it is here, take some cards, take some cards, take some cards, take them under the table, and people start shuffling these cards under the table. He has somebody like, hey, while under the table, they pull out one of the cards and look at it. Remember that card, and then the cards like genuinely come back like this, where he's like, you know, doing this and throwing cards around here, and from there it's all mixed up. I mean, there's no doubt that this deck is mixed, right? The cards get mixed up, they get handed to somebody from there, like they cut some of the cards and they count them and they mix them again and they go down and yada, yada, yada. The end of it, and it just comes to this situation where the spectator names the number and they count down to the certain card, and their card is at that number.
If you want to learn
the card that person just looked at under the table, by the way.
If you want to learn this type of Magic, Totally Hands Off is available on its own, but you can also learn a bunch of his any card, any number work in Danny DeArtee's Penguin Live 1, Danny DeArtee's Penguin Live 2, Danny DeArtee's Penguin Live 3, and the Any Card at Any Number project that he did. There's 12 different lessons. They're all like an hour in length. If any card at any number from an ordinary deck of cards is your jam, get that project, because you'll learn a wealth of information from it.
So
and you not just learn the any card at any number plot, you're going to be learning like all kinds of different sort of self-working or semi-automatic principles. You're going to be learning some interesting sleight of hand that you can combine with some of those principles to make it deeply, deeply fooling. If this is your type of Magic, definitely check that out.
And when you look at this, you start to realize, you know, why memorizing an entire deck might not be necessary to do card at number. Right. So, and also when it stacks up to some of these other ones, even though he just destroyed the internet with this routine, it kind of doesn't quite stack up the same way as the rest.
It's not as clean. I mean, I think that's the thing to think about with.
Feels super clean when you watch him do it, and it's a great lesson to be learned here, right? Like, did you even consider that the deck couldn't be looked at? You know, not really.
But you know, when you're watching Danny work, it feels very clean, and it's learning to do Danny's material in your own style can be challenging.
So, when you get this as an option of download only or ship you some gimmicks, and the reason why that is because the gimmicks you need, you probably have at home, and that's because we do have some duplicate cards with this routine. And while I think any number can work, it's limited for not only dramatic reasons. Like Danny, who's done card at number more than him? I don't know. Maybe nobody. I think one of Danny's rules at card at number is like you should never do it with the number being between 1 and 10. Because it's just dramatically uninteresting.
Correct.
Right? So like, and if then who cares if it's any number between 1 and 52, right? So like Danny almost forces a number between 12 and 26 because he wants it to be like, you know, count down. So you'll learn a lot about what you should care about with card at number with Danny DeArtee's. So this trick, it is a card at number. It's a force card. And you will be navigating them to a certain area of the deck as well. But other than that, it's not like a gimmick deck. It can't really be examined at the end, but I mean, if you perform it like Danny DeArtee's, nobody's ever going to question the deck anyway. So in terms of this list, it's weird that this one probably shouldn't be number 3.
No, I mean, I would. There's other ones that I would have in here that I would put up above it.
Just because of comparing it to the other ones on this list. Probably not number 3, but you know, weirdly, I might just go do this one. Might be the one I go do. This or the Grail at the moment. But let's get to number 2.
Speaking of breaking the internet, our good friend Craig Petty comes in at number 2 with Quantum Deck. This is a fun little trick right here, and actually. I'm going to do it.
Let's do it.
I'm going to do it just because I know Craig watches these, and I want to see if I do Craig
Papa Petty.
Papa Petty.
Is that anybody? It might be his new nickname. There.
Papa Petty.
Papa Petty.
Papa Petty. So Nick, I have a deck of cards in here, and inside of this deck of cards,
that's not a deck of cards. Those are playing.
Yeah, it looks like it, but it's there's one playing card in here.
Okay.
And your job is to guess where it is. So give me a number between 1 and 52.
11.
11. Okay. So that is, I want you to keep me fair here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have one card, the Jack of Hearts, and it is the only card that is printed in this deck. You see front, back, side, side, and then that is it. That is Quantum Deck. It's what you get is a very special deck of double blank phase cards, and you have to provide your own cards, so you can provide any force card you want here. Mine happens to be from a Phoenix deck because when I was in my office learning this earlier today, that was the one card that was just laying around. But you can do it with, we could basically add any poker-sized card to this deck, and it allows you to place their card in one position and simultaneously put it at any position between 11 and 46. I think it's crazy.
Never even held this.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting principle. I think it got a fair amount of heat when it came out for a couple different reasons, but it is a good method. You theoretically could put this in a spectator's hand, but I wouldn't. You could not put this in a magician's hand. They would just immediately know exactly what's up. But it's pretty easy to handle. You can do some cool stuff with it.
Yeah, I mean, while the examinability of the deck is a thing, like here, nothing.
It's so open that like once you deal through these cards and you show them that card, no one's going to want to, but there's no reason for them to because there's no heat on this.
I know we talk about that stuff all the time.
Yeah,
things being examined on the internet, and I read it all out there.
Yep.
But like, listen, nobody cares.
We are on the cafe. We are in the Facebook forums. We're reading everything you guys write.
Yeah,
but I think that this is a fantastic effect, and when you buy this, you get, it's Craig Petty, so you get 800 hours of tutorial information on here. I mean, like, there literally is, I think it's either 4 or 5 hours of tutorials on here, and he teaches lots of different routines. There's lots of different, you can do any number. If you need to, you can shift it, you can shift the card around in the deck to put it in the single digits or way up above the high 30s.
Yeah.
But generally, you won't have to.
Yeah, so it's only one of these.
Yeah, because when this card is handed out, this card is completely examinable.
Right.
This card, there's nothing fishy about this card at all.
Right.
You can make that from whatever you want.
So while a lot of tricks, like you have to make that cut or whatever to get things in position, this is operating in a different way.
Yeah.
Unlike all of the rest of the tricks.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It is really cool. It is a very specially treated deck that allows you to do this. And once you learn it, like this is definitely one of those things that if you needed to add like 5-6 minutes to your show, you could easily throw a quantum deck in your bag and then be prepared to do this. It is a bit different. It is a card at number. It's not any card at any number. Although I think Craig teaches a version of this that is any card at any number.
Probably, yeah.
But there's like some mental forcing involved, or you're forcing a card from a different deck, so it appears that it's any card at any number. But just like basically putting this card in the position, putting it in the case, you're ready to go. It's a great trick. It's a great idea, and it's Craig Petty, so you know it's taught well.
Yep. No.
Yeah. Quantum deck is fantastic.
There it is. And last but not least, number 1 on the list, Position Impossible by Brent Braun. Let me grab this out of here, and I will do a very quick performance of this one here. So this is one of those where, so you can show the back of the deck, right? And you can also show all 52 cards. That's what's interesting here is you can start by saying like, look, all 52 cards are there. There's not like any sort of like repeating, not that you would, this isn't the layman patter.
No.
Right? But for us magicians here, we're trying to check all these boxes here on this list, right? There's no duplicates of any cards. And in fact, if you were to think of any of these cards, it would be here, right, in the deck, right? So you can even give the cards a quick mix. And then I would say, Eric, I'm just going to dribble the cards like this.
Stop.
You want to stop here?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go further?
No, right there.
Now, this is important because you could go further. All right. Take a look at that card.
Got it.
You got it?
Yep.
And that goes back in here. From here, you can shuffle the cards. I'm just going to, for time's sake, I'm just going to give them a quick mix like that. And we'll mix them one more time. And Eric, at this point, you are thinking of a card.
I am.
And the cards are out of my hands and on the table. Name a number.
7.
Count 7 cards.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's the 7th card. Drag that out of there. Right? And I'm not switching that or anything because I just want to show you. You could have thought of any of these right here. See your card there?
No.
No. Could have thought of any of these as well. And I won't have to make you like go through the all of them. But what card were you thinking of?
The 3 of Hearts.
It doesn't work every time.
But when it does.
Today it did.
Woo!
Boom.
This is a great piece.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brent performed this on Fool Us. He's performed this just about everywhere. This is one of his signature tricks. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on inside of this deck. Now, this deck is not examinable, but again, when you watch the routine, at no point do you want to examine it at the end
because you can do this.
You can do these really, really open, fair spreads.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the deck isn't, you can't hand it to a spectator. No. I mean, you could theoretically if you had some nice management on them, but there's nothing to find other than if they held it the right way.
Yeah.
But the deck is completely gaffed to do this one trick, just like a lot of these others.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, it is card at number, so it is a force card, but it is at any number.
Yeah.
So
it's genuinely
any number. The card is at every number and not at every number at the same time.
It's a wild idea.
Yeah. And I just kind of did a quick performance of it there, but it is that impossible. So hence the name, Position Impossible. There's not a lot to say about this other than it really does check all the boxes except for like examinability. Yeah. Right. Otherwise, if you want like and it is self-working almost. Like you can mix the cards. You don't have to do a false shuffle or anything.
Yeah.
So the cards can be mixed with a riffle shuffle. You can't let the spectator shuffle the cards.
But you can do the riffle shuffle.
Yeah, you can do the riffle shuffle.
Which sometimes it's just that extra thing that allows you to just take it that much further. It's a super good trick. Well,
yeah,
that brings us to the end, which is like our picks, this is going to be a harder one.
Yeah.
Because, we're mixing ACAANs and CAAN. We're mixing any card at any numbers and card at numbers.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know that lay people can tell the difference.
No.
I think that's very much a magician thing.
And much like other lists that we've done, I thought that maybe by the end of the list I would be like, yeah, no, I think it needs to be judged in a certain way here.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No.
I think maybe, yeah. So I have some ideas here.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put Fragment right up at the top.
Okay.
And I'm putting Fragment at the top because it's shuffled deck in use, and the method is really, really clever. And this is one of those things where it doesn't just teach you a lot about card at number. It also teaches you about spectator management with handing the deck back and forth. It's got sort of shades of Danny D'Artes in the way of sort of the methodology of it. Where it feels a little like a Danny trick, but a lot cleaner. For me, it doesn't feel as chaotic as some of the more Danny card at numbers, and so I really, really like that. So Fragment for me is right at the top. And then I'm going to put in second place instaCAAN, just because I was not aware of instaCAAN until this, and I love Quantum Deck, but I really like the examinability of instaCAAN while still being able to present that like this is the only card you could have picked because all of the others are blank, which feels really nice to me.
Yeah, and you're comfortable doing sleights and moves as well.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing for me, which is like if I wasn't comfortable doing sleights, I would replace instaCAAN with Quantum because Quantum's a really, really solid method. But then at number 3, I think I got to put The End by ERIK'S because it's
hard to argue with.
It's a really and again I'm putting like The End is 3A, but Dan's ACAANAAT at like 3B, just because that idea is too interesting to let go of my head. But I really like the way The End does what it does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, for 3 for me, I think I'm gonna go with the Grail really impressed me, but I don't know that I was gonna put it there. 3 is a tough one for me. I'm gonna say any card at any birthday at 3.
Okay.
Because I am going to go try to do it.
Yeah.
And it is genuinely any card and any number. Okay. So I think that's important. Stage piece.
Yep.
So, but I think the Grail and any card at any birthday for me at 3. Number 2, I'm going to go Position Impossible.
Yeah.
Because it is something that you can just do anytime, you have to carry around that special deck.
Yeah.
Right. But it is card at any number.
Yep.
Right. And then number one, I think it's got to be Harlan's trick.
Yeah. I see why. I absolutely see why.
It's just because it is any card, any number, anytime. Right. And, you know, I've done enough card tricks to know, and I think a lot of you too, you can still do just a regular old, well, pick a card, put it back in the deck,
say stop,
palm it off,
yeah.
you know, like throw it wherever you need to put it, and then, you know, and it's still a great trick, but you get the added benefit of presenting something nowadays for social media and making it a real miracle. And it'll help you learn how to do some like TV style stuff.
You know, I'm going to throw this. I know this is the very end, and we were supposed to talk about the honorable mentions earlier. We should have talked about Matt Mello's card at number because
that's very good.
When you again talk about something like Fragment, where it's very good, but the one that we should have talked about, card at number, that is the one that'll really blow you away, is Brainchild by Kyle Purnell.
Yeah.
That's a card at number where the card, it's a thought of card, genuine thought of card at a genuinely thought of number and it's a different colored back than all the other cards.
Wild stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I think we just need maybe a part 2 of this or something, because I would love to take a look at some more of these. Yeah. And then maybe we can like boil down into like, maybe even just like blank deck card at numbers and blank or, you know, ones with what's the card at number list and then any card at any number list, right? So
it's such these are such diverse. There's so many diverse methods to both card at number and any card at number that it's all worth looking at because magicians have attacked it from so many different angles.
Well, if you want the real raw one, go get Mnemonica and just read what Juan has to say about it, because that, to me, I think is the way to do it.
Yep.
Everything else is just trying to get there in an easier fashion.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of another Penguin Magic Top 10 video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor, comment below on any of the card at numbers or any card at numbers that we missed or that you missed, because you're the ones who make these lists. Be sure to follow us on Instagram so you can participate the next time we put out a poll to create the list for these videos. Also, like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you will be notified whenever we put one of these videos up. On behalf of Nick, myself, and everyone here at the P3 Magic Studios, thank you so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next time.